Hi guys, fractional indices from Corbett Maths 173, textbook exercise 173. There's a video to go with that as well if you've not watched it yet. But we're going to be using these three rules of indices. A to the power m over n. Well, the top number is the power, so a to the power m. The bottom number is the root, so it'll be the nth root of a to the power m. Remember, top number is the power, bottom number is the root. Second rule we'll be using, a to the power m, all to the power n. So here we can just multiply these two together, a to the m times n. So say we had a cubed, all squared. So remember, if we're squaring and multiplying by itself, so it'll be a cubed times a cubed, which is a to the 6. Or we could do a to the 3 times 2, which is a to the 6 as well. And third rule, a to the negative m is 1 over a to the power m. So if we're doing 5 to the negative 2, for example, that means 1 over 5 to the power 2, 1 over 5 squared. Okay, right, let's try some questions when we're using those. So here, top number is the power, so we've got the power 1, so we're just going, anything to the power 1 is just itself, so we're going to have 9x squared to the power 1, which is just 9x squared. The bottom number is a 2, so that tells us to take the square root of 9x squared. So we'll do each term individually here. So the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x squared is x. Let's have a look at part C. So we've got 4x to the power 6, all to the power 1/2. So again, we're going to square root the whole thing there. So we'll square root the first term. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x to the power 6. Well, what do we multiply by itself to make x to the power 6? Well, we need to do x cubed times x cubed to get x to the power 6. So the square root of x to the power 6 is x cubed. Let's have a look at f as well. So here, what's different here? We don't have the square root, we don't have the power 1/2, we have the power 1/3. So we need to take the cube root of 125x to the power 6. So the cube root of 125, well, if we don't know what that is, guys, have a little guess and just use trial and error, you'll get there quite quickly. So let's take 4. 4 times 4 is 16, times 4 is 64. Too small, try 5. 5 5s are 25, times 5 again is indeed 125. So the cube root of 125 is 5, because 5 times 5 times 5 equals 125. We also have the cube root of x to the power 6. So what are we multiplying by itself 3 times to get x to the 6? Well, x squared times x squared is x to the 4, times x squared again is x to the power 6. So the cube root of 125x to the 6 is equal to 5x squared. Right, let's have a look at number 8. Number 8 is similar to number 7, except we don't have a 1 as the numerator of the fractional index. We have a 2 or a 3 or a 4. So in 8a we have bracket to the power 2/3. So remember, guys, the top number is the power, so I need to do that whole bracket squared. And then the bottom number, or the denominator, is which root to take. So I'm doing the cube root of 64x cubed, all squared. Two possible ways of doing this. We could square the 64x cubed first. So if we square 64, after a little bit of time, we'll find out that is 4096. And the problem is, do we know the cube root of 4096? Probably not, because this would definitely be an uncalculated question. So we need to, the easy way to do it is to take the, or easier way, I'm not going to say it's easy, the easier way of doing it is to take the cube root first. So the cube root of 64 is 4, because 4 times 4 times 4 is 64. And the cube root of x cubed is x, because x times x times x is x cubed. And remember, we still need to square that, so we're going to do 4x all squared. Remember, we're squaring everything inside the bracket there, guys, so we need to square the 4 as well as the x. So 4 4s are 16, x times x is x squared. Let's have a look at 8b. So here the power, the fractional index, or the power, is 3 over 2. So the top number is the power, which is a 3. Bottom number is the root, which will be the square root because it's a 2. So let's take the square root of 9x to the 4. The square root of 9 is 3. The square root of x to the 4 is x squared, because x squared times x squared equals x to the 4. And then what do we need to do? We still need to cube all of that. So cube the 3, 3 3s are 9, times 3 again is 27. X squared times x squared times x squared is x to the 6. Or of course we could just do x to the 2 times 3 using this middle rule up here that we talked about at the start of the video. Okay, either way you're getting the same answer. Right, 8f. We have 32x to the power 20 all to the power 3/5. This is probably beyond what you would see in a National 5 exam. It might come up, but the chances are it would probably be slightly easier than this, if not quite a bit easier. Okay, so again, just follow the same rules. Top number is the power, so everything in the bracket cubed, and the bottom number is the root, so we're taking the 5th root of all of that. Now, if you're doing the 5th root of something, the chances are the answer will be 2 or 3 if it's non-calculated. Okay, because if you're doing a number to the power 5, it gets very large very quickly. So it's an even number, so I'm going to try 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 again is 16, times 2 a 5th time is 32. So the 5th root of 32 is 2, because 2 to the power 5 equals 32. I'm going to take the 5th root of x to the 20. So what am I times multiplying by itself 5 times to get x to the 20? Well, that'll be x to the 4 times 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 x to the 4 to get x to the 20. So I have 2x to the 4 all cubed. So remember, cube the first number and also cube the x to the power 4 there. So 2 cubed is 8, and x to the 4 times x to the 4 times x to the 4, or x to the 4 times 3 will be x to the 12. Right, let's have a look at 9 as well. So we have 8 to the power negative 2/3. Okay, 8's a reasonably small number, so that's a nice thing. Negative power, what does that mean? Remember guys, that means 1 over a to the power m there. So that'll be 1 over 8 to the power 2/3. So the first thing I'll do is write it as 1 over 8 to the 2/3. After that, I'm going to use the rule I was using in question number 8. So top number is the power, bottom number is the root. So it'll be the cube root, 1 over the cube root of 8 squared. So I'm going to cube root 8, which is 2, because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And then I'm going to square that as well, because I've not done the squaring yet. So 1 over 2 squared will become 1/4. Part B, 25 to the negative 3 over 2. So again, write it as 1 over 25 to the power 3 over 2. Top number is the power, bottom number is the root, so it's a square root of 25 cubed. So if I square root 25, I get 5. Still got to cube it, so it'll be 1 over 5 cubed. And 5 times 5 is 25, times 5 again is 125. F. Big looking number, 100,000 to the power negative 2/5. Let's go through the same process. Negative power, let's move that number down, so it's 1 over 100,000 to the power 2/5. So I'm looking for the 5th root of 100,000 squared. Again, take the root first. So what multiplied by itself 5 times makes 100,000? Well, there's a lot of zeros in there, so it's probably got something to do with 10. 10 times 10 times 10 is 1,000, times 10 times 10 would be 100,000. So it would be the 5th root of 100,000 is 10. And we still need to square, so 1 over 10 squared becomes 1/100th. And that is it all. So guys, follow those same steps, do a bit of practice, and you should be able to get the other questions from 7, 8 and 9 finished off on your own.